If everybody can please find their seats. And I'm going to ask the Secretary for the Convention Credentials Report, Charles.
Yes, we have one. Just a moment. There was a few last-minute registrations which are causing issues. Right this second, I have 98 registered delegates. I have one more that I'm trying to get in. If I can get that verified, we'll have 99.
He can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we have 98 delegates with a possibility of one more for 99.
Thank you.
That's amazing that you can't hear Alex.
Charlotte said it the first time, not me.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. Welcome to the 2015 Annual Convention and Business Meeting. I want to thank Pasco County Affiliate for putting on this fantastic event. We've only just begun and it's already been great, I think. I want to introduce our guest speaker that we have coming on. She is the current political director for the National Libertarian Party. She ran for U.S. Senate against Ted Kennedy in 2000. She ran for state auditor in 1998. In 2002, she ran for governor against Mitt Romney, while she championed the first of 3 statewide ballot initiatives in Massachusetts, which were endorsed by Steve Forbes, the National Taxpayers Union, and Steve Moore. The 2 initiatives was to end the income tax in 2002 and 2008, which got 45% of the vote, and one to cut the state sales tax in half in 2010. Both were covered extensively by media. She's also been a featured guest on the Neil Cavuto show, The O'Reilly Factor, Glenn Beck. She's participated in hundreds of radio, TV interviews, and over 20 live radio and TV debates. She created the Who's Driving, designed to train libertarian activists and candidates. And she composed and recorded the spoof song, How Could I Live Without Filing Taxes? I'd actually like her to sing it for us. I don't know if we'll be that lucky, though. Please welcome Carla Howell.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Libertarian Party campaigns are the levers of change on the campaign trail and when we serve in office. When libertarians run for office, excuse me here. Okay, I think it's okay. Just needed to stop. They might fall on you.
Lift it up a little bit.
Where's Mr. Kraft?
Okay. Sorry about the noise there. All right. When libertarians run for office, we advance our libertarian agenda for much less government and more freedom, but only if we campaign on a libertarian agenda. Now, there are other ways to slap back big government besides campaigns, such as lawsuits. But we can only run a lawsuit on select areas of government and only when the opportunity presents itself. We need to go after lots of areas of government. Virtually all of them are overspending by at least double, even if you can justify their existence. Many try lobbying lawmakers to advance a political agenda. But lobbying doesn't work when it comes to shrinking government. Sometimes it works to improve ballot access, which we must do. Libertarians have substantially improved our ballot access over the years through lobbying. And lobbying frequently works for stopping the growth of big government, often for a fee. But almost never does lobbying directly advance liberty. Lobbying works for expanding government, not shrinking it. For libertarians, we influence politics the most when we campaign, specifically when we run on proposals to boldly shrink big government and thereby advance freedom. Why? When we campaign for public office, we have a rare opportunity to present our ideas to the American people when they are receptive and responsive. Most people ignore politics, or they hate politics. It makes them groan. It's divisive, and it gets them in fights with their family and friends. But during campaigns, especially during the last weeks and months before an election, voters are suddenly interested in what we have to say. The media actually covers us, at least sometimes, and libertarians get into some debates. This is a huge opportunity to reach everyday voters, and to do so at a very low cost. We reach people who've been pummeled with propaganda aimed at sustaining and expanding big government in the mainstream news media, in schools, from their employers and their unions, in the military, in movies, and in TVs that shamelessly portray big government as our savior. A libertarian candidate can derail this and offer libertarian solutions for reducing government. For many voters, it's the first time in their lives that they've even heard the idea of actually shrinking government. Libertarians are the only ones consistently talking this way. Our opponents may talk about targeted tax cuts or trivial spending cuts. They talk in vague terms about freedom and tax relief and getting rid of government waste. But if you listen carefully, you'll notice they virtually never propose to reduce total government spending, total tax revenue, or to substantially advance freedom in any way. Their proposals are carefully designed to sound libertarian-ish while keeping big government big. Libertarian candidates have the opportunity to change the conversation by putting on the table specific proposals to shrink government, especially when they make them the centerpiece of their campaigns. This shakes voters out of their big government stupor, bathed in the belief that things can never change, and shows them that that's just not so. Shrinking government is actually possible. Just by saying so as a candidate, it becomes possible. We can cut taxes dramatically. We can end the income tax, or the sales tax, or the property tax, and replace it with no other tax, just cutting spending. We can cut government spending dramatically and retain all of the services that people care about or need. We can have a free market in education, in healthcare, and in charity. We can and we must balance the federal budget now. We can bring our troops home, close foreign military bases, and stop trying to police the world. We can end the failed, destructive, crime-inducing war on drugs. Adrian Wiley's campaign introduced to hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, the idea that we can reject federal mandates. The more libertarian candidates we run who introduce solutions like this, that the old parties won't touch with a 10-foot pole, the more progress we'll make, the more people who will join us, and the better chance we have of achieving liberty in our lifetime. Instead of hearing how the solution to every human problem is more government, voters will hear that the real solution is dismantling, removing, and repealing big government, and that it's possible. This is why the Libertarian Party is the evangelical wing of the liberty movement. We're not just preaching to the choir. We're reaching millions of everyday voters, and we're spreading the idea that truly downsizing big government is possible. Libertarian Party campaigns are the levers of change. Libertarian campaigns have an even greater impact when we associate huge, immediate, direct benefits with the libertarian solutions that we propose. Big government advocates pour on claims that big government will make things better. More government, they say, will stimulate the economy and create jobs, help the poor, help the middle class, protect you from terrorism, avert a financial crisis, control healthcare costs. That one's funny. Give young people opportunity for the future by pouring more money into government schools. When libertarians campaign, we have a podium to not only discredit and these outrageous claims, but to also show voters the opposite, the amazing benefits that result from getting rid of failed, destructive government programs. A good car salesman doesn't just tell you the flaws of the other car that you're considering buying. He makes sure you see the benefits of buying his automobile. This Ford has plenty of room to take your family on vacation. This BMW is nicely designed. It will make your girlfriend feel proud of you. It'll be a blast to drive. This Prius gets the best mileage. It'll save you thousands of dollars a year and you'll spend much less time pumping gas. Most libertarians, especially pundits and wonks, talk almost exclusively about how bad big government is, what's wrong with it, how it hurts people, how it's wasteful and ineffective. This is an important part of the message we must convey. Big government is highly destructive, and we need to make this point. But a well-run, well-prepared libertarian candidate not only debunks and discredits big government, he or she also spells out for voters the benefits of liberty. Our streets will be safer when we end the war on drugs. Removing government regulations, cutting government spending, and cutting taxes will create millions of productive, sustainable private sector jobs. When we stop dropping bombs and intervening in foreign countries, we'll be much less at risk of a terrorist attack. Privatizing education will cut the cost of schooling and give kids a chance to thrive. Getting the government out of healthcare will allow the cost of doctor visits and drugs, lab tests, and procedures to plummet while improving healthcare outcomes for you and your family. Libertarian campaigns can show Americans that they'll be much better off when we get big government off their backs. Libertarian campaigns are also the levers of change when they build momentum for libertarian ideas. Why? Because ideas have consequences. Campaigning on libertarian solutions paves the path to ultimate victory. In 2002, I was the only candidate for governor in Massachusetts who unequivocally supported marriage equality. The bravest of the Democrats in the race wouldn't go beyond supporting civil unions. Even the Green candidate, Jill Stein, now a presidential contender, was mealy-mouthed in her support for gay marriage. As I walked Boston's Gay Pride Parade that year, along with campaign supporters, I boldly, unapologetically declared my support for their right to marry a person of their choice to the cheering crowds who lined that parade. There are lots of nice people, fully clothed by the way, who simply wanted freedom. They wanted the right to marry their partner. At the end of the parade, the organizers moved each procession into a park, and they positioned ours next to the campaign workers of former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich, who was vying for the Democratic nomination for governor. My lieutenant governor running mate, Rich O'Coin, took the opportunity to challenge Reich's very progressive supporters on their candidate's timid stand and his refusal to support marriage equality. He said to them, "You know, our libertarian support of gay marriage is right. Robert Reich is wrong on this issue." To which they sheepishly replied, "We know." Rich harassed and harangued them for about an hour, goading them to abandon their candidate unless he got off the dime. Coincidentally, or not, that afternoon, Robert Reich became the first Democratic governor candidate in the history of Massachusetts to support ending the ban on gay marriage. Soon thereafter, Senate President Tom Birmingham, who was also vying for the Democratic nomination, got behind marriage equality too. The following year, Massachusetts became the first state in the nation to legalize gay marriage. When the Boston Globe reported Reich's conversion, he called him the first governor candidate in the history of Massachusetts to support gay marriage, completely ignoring my campaign. I knew, they knew, where I stood. A Globe reporter had covered a governor's debate a few weeks prior, where I made my support of marriage equality abundantly clear. But as our campaign's communications director, Michael Cloud, pointed out, libertarians are often the ones who clear the minefields for change. We may not get the credit, but we win the big prize, freedom. And isn't that why we're here? Libertarian Ruth Bennett similarly influenced the debate on gay marriage in her campaign for governor in Washington State in 2004, where same-sex marriage is now legal. These are just two examples of the thousands of libertarian campaigns that have influenced public debate throughout the party's 44 years of existence. On the war on drugs, taxes, spending, debt, property rights, guns, foreign intervention, and many other issues. Libertarian Party campaigns are the levers of change. Another important reason that libertarian campaigns are levers of change is because they create a mandate when our candidates are elected. But this is only true if we campaign on a libertarian agenda for less government. When a libertarian gets elected on shrinking government in some way, cutting taxes, repealing laws, bringing troops home, closing down unneeded bureaucracies, cutting government spending, that libertarian has the leverage he or she needs to change the law. If they neglect to run on a libertarian agenda, they have forfeited perhaps 90% of their ability to affect change while in office. They may vote no on expanding big government, which is essential. We always want libertarians to vote no on more big government, every time. No exceptions, no excuses. But they're not likely to get anywhere advancing a libertarian agenda, shrinking government and expanding liberty, unless they run on it, because they have no voter mandate. When we run on things like slashing the property tax, bringing government pensions in line with the private sector, or ending the marijuana prohibition, we can rightfully say that voters elected us to implement these proposals. Not only will other elected officials take us seriously, they will be afraid of voter backlash if they resist. It doesn't guarantee that these proposals will be enacted, but it gives them a fighting chance. When a voter gives you their vote, they're in effect giving you a mandate, permission, to implement whatever you ran on. When libertarian candidates are elected, what matters most is what they do and what they refuse to do in office. What libertarians can do in office is a function of how they campaign. When we win elections, we celebrate. But as elected libertarian Dick Randolph said, getting elected isn't the finish line. It's the start of the real race, the race to reduce government and make it small. Libertarian Party campaigns are the levers of change. Winning elections is not the ultimate measure of whether we accomplish our goal of less government and more freedom. Has anyone heard of Victor Berger, Congressman Victor Berger, or Congressman Meyer London? They're not exactly household names. They're the only two candidates that the Socialist Party ever elected to the U.S. House. If you gauge the success of a political party on whether or not it wins elections, the Socialist Party was a failure. But did they win their big prize? Sadly, Yes, they did. Both the reigning parties today, the Democrats and Republicans, have embraced their socialist agenda over the last 100 years. We need to redefine what winning or victory is. Progress is victory. Creating a demand, a mandate for less government is a victory. Winning is not having warm bodies on councils and boards and in legislatures with an L next to their name. It's having warm bodies on councils, boards, and legislatures with L's next to their name who campaigned on shrinking government, cutting taxes and cutting total government spending to create jobs, removing regulations to create opportunity and innovation, repealing or nullifying laws to create freedom and justice, defunding and downsizing big government to create prosperity. Winning is electing libertarians who then use the mandates they created while campaigning to reduce government and advance liberty while in office. A winning libertarian campaign proposes less government and gets people talking about it. A winning libertarian campaign shows people they're much better off with less government. A winning campaign creates a mandate for freedom. A winning libertarian campaign shows people that small government is possible. Libertarian campaigns are the levers of change. Thank you.
We're going to have about 5 minutes if anybody'd like to ask any questions for Carla right now. She can answer questions for you. Any questions?
Any questions?
I think you covered it.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So you're from Massachusetts?
Yes, now living in Virginia, working at the National Libertarian Party.
Okay. I've heard a lot of statements on TV and whatnot about Massachusetts, and they have sort of a socialized healthcare program. How's that working out? Just curious.
Depends on whether you're reading The Atlantic or a libertarian alternative media website. Badly. I mean, the people were leaving the state when Romney Care was passed. Oh God, don't get me started on Romney Care. People were leaving. Businesses were shutting down. We were in a recession, as it was, but it was definitely making things worse. Massachusetts already had 94% of its population insured, and it went up to a few percentage points higher almost entirely because of handouts, not because people were buying insurance. So it just expanded Medicaid, essentially, is what it did. It's a very government-centric state, very dependent on government funding from both the federal government and the state government.
Okay, and I have one more question. As a libertarian activist, which I'm a worker too and a father and all of the above, do you think, in your opinion, it would be a good idea for me to start attending city council meetings as a libertarian? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear the
said,
response.
Duh, and yeah, that's
Duh.
anyway, no, really, I'm new at it, and so I don't know. I'm new at politics. I was one of the guys that was like anything but politics, but I just really feel like it's time to get involved.
It's always good to get involved in any way we can. Now, I made the point that lobbying works for expanding government. It doesn't, or for stopping the growth of government. You can't really advance an agenda of less government. And of course we want to stop expansions of government, but we need to make sure we bring our focus to being on the offensive. We have very, very slim resources compared to our opposition. We are outgunned by orders of magnitude. And it's easy to get consumed by efforts to stop more big government. So that's why we need to be going on the offensive. Today at 6:30, we're going to be playing 6:15. Who's driving? If you'd like to come, I'll be leading that session. It's a game on how to be in control of the agenda and on the offensive in particular, because we want to be pushing the envelope for less government. If you do go to a city council meeting and they're talking about raising a tax, stand up and say, I think we need to eliminate the tax. What you can especially do is when people get elected to office, and here's a place where the Libertarian Party needs to grow a lot. We're still very small to be able to do this. But a lot of elected Libertarians are very lonely. They need support. They need people coming to their council meetings at strategic moments to testify. Talk to your Libertarian elected officials and ask them what would be helpful to them to advance their agenda. And I think that would be, rather than just showing up at any old meeting, that might be a way to focus your efforts more effectively. Sir? Just this one.
Yes. Right now, you can kind of tell there's an effort by the two establishment parties to make it harder for younger voters to register because they know younger voters are not registering in Democrats and Republicans. Now, I do know in Massachusetts, I don't think it was a state, but there were 1 or 2 cities that were talking about lowering the voting age to 16. Is that something the Libertarian Party would endorse, or is that something that we consider to be too young to try and make a decision?
You know, 16, 17, 18-year-olds are still dependent on their parents. You could argue that, you know, you should be somebody who's a taxpayer. No representation without taxation. You know. Sorry. Just in that they don't really appreciate, you know, what, you know, they haven't matured in some ways. I don't know. This is what I call a micro debate, so someone else can have that debate. I want to focus on let's shrink government. That's where our focus needs to be. All right. Thank you very much.
If anybody has any more questions for her, she will be doing her thing tonight, the who's driving thing. I definitely suggest going to that. At this point, I'll ask the secretary to confirm we have 99 delegates.
We have 99.
Yeah. All right, so I will declare that we have a quorum, and now I will seek approval of the agenda by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I object to the extent that the agenda in 3 places at 11:45 a.m. today, 4:52 p.m. today, and 10:56 a.m. tomorrow, makes a reference that amendments to the Constitution and bylaws, 2 amendments to the Constitution, 4 bylaw amendments, to be considered. To the extent that the agenda incorporates that packet, I object that that packet is not properly before the committee. I don't object to those time slots for those to be heard, and I reserve appeal on that issue. Bill Walsh.
Wait, so you're objecting to the rules packet?
To the extent that it's incorporated into the agenda, because it is referenced 3 times on the agenda. So the content of the packet I object to, not to the fact that the packet will come before the committee.
Madam Chair?
Yes, you're recommending.
As the representative presenting the Rules Committee report, I will yield to Bill at the 11:45 time slot for the purpose of hearing that appeal. So I would ask that we go ahead and approve with unanimous consent the agenda as is, with the concession that time will be yielded at the beginning of the rules report for the appeal.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I also object and simultaneously made the objection that the EC did not have the opportunity to approve the agenda before this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. So you would note the objection from Bill Wolfer on the...
I'm working over there. At 11:45?
It's the Rules Committee's report.
See how the rule goes at 11:25, and then the rule goes again at 4:52.
All right, with Bill Wolfer's objections noted, I'll ask all in favor of approving the agenda with those things mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. And we will now move on to items number 7, the first call for nominations from the floor for the EC positions. First, I'll seek nominations for the chair. Jared Graffoni, recognized.
Nominate Adrian Wiley.
Adrian Wiley. Any other nominations for chair from the floor? Joe Went. Any other nominations for chair from the floor? All right, nominations for vice chair from the floor.
Nominate Lynn House.
Lynn House. Any other nominations? Yes.
What, the second?
Okay.
Yeah, we knew you would,
Yeah.
Any other nominations for vice chair from the floor? Nominations for at-large 1.
I nominate Tom Wright.
Tom Reich. Any other nominations from the floor for at-large 1? Yes.
Nominate Jared Jones.
Jared Jones. And any other nominations for at-large 1? All right, at-large 3. Yes, Vicki.
I nominate Michael Hamlin.
Michael Hamlin. Any other nominations from the floor for at-large 3? Jared.
Omar Requero.
Omar Requero. Any other nominations for at-large 3? All right. We will then move on to the officers' reports and comments, starting with the secretary's report. Charlize, I yield to you.
I need the microphone. No, I don't. You can hear me back there? I'm the secretary. I'm trying to fill some very big shoes. I've just learned to lace them up. Okay. Just to give you a very quick, I'm going to make it short. I have taken possession of all of our archives that were scattered around. I now have those, so I'm getting that fixed up. I've been working a lot to make our documents more accessible. A lot of these are actually required to be public documents. We have electronic forums that the EC primarily uses, but we really need to break that out so that anybody can theoretically look at them, although I don't know how many people would, but they have to be available. I've done a lot of work to make sure that happens, and that's really been the crux of that, other than the day-to-day sort of business with making agendas and minutes and that sort of thing. That's my report, because that's what I do as a secretary, except one little personal bit of business. There's been a personal festering sore, and that is the county I live in, Manatee County, has not been affiliated for a long time. Madam Chair, I present to you our signed petition.
I will deliver this to the secretary.
Thank
All right. Thank you, Charlize. I will now yield to the treasurer for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ooh, can't do that very well.
Yeah, just don't move that thing.
Don't move that. There, don't bump this. You bump it, you mess up. My name is James Morris, and I am the treasurer of the LPF. I've got big shoes to fill as well from Danielle. She did a great job trying to teach me how to do this. I'm a little slow learner, but I've learned a lot over the last year. But here's the treasurer report for the month of May 2015. Our monthly donations were up last month of May to $7.95, up from April's of $3.30. Combined cash on hand, including PayPal, bank accounts, and all checks written and paid as of the 31st of May is $26,235.49. The FEC report, which we file monthly, has been filed and accepted. Checks written out to county affiliates have not been sent out due to improper snail mail address or they're not affiliates. And if you're here as a representative, please let me know where I can give you your check. Brevard, Broward, Charlotte, Duval, Lee, Marion, Martin, Nassau, Sumter, and Sarasota. If your representative is here as treasurer or chair, I will have a check for you. Checks that have been mailed for over 2 months have not cleared are Collier, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Seminole. Those checks were sent out on 4/10. They have not cleared the bank. Please find out why, get them checked, whatever, let me know about it. The biggest thing is we have 18 people every month that donate, $5, $10, $50, $100. If it wasn't for them, we would have no money in our account. Danielle set this up last year, and I'm asking the same thing. I need at least another 20 to 30 more people that will donate $5, $10, $15, $20 a month automatically coming out of your credit card. If we do that, we can get people elected to offices in the school board, the water district, mosquito control. I'm working in my district trying to get people elected to school board, and I know a lot of affiliates are doing the same thing. And this money that comes to the state party, it gets split. I make sure quarterly you get your half. So if $1,000 comes to the LPF from Broward County, $500 goes back. And we make sure you have that, that way you can work. So if you can help me get people to donate, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, James, and I will now yield to the Vice Chair, Alex Stinker, for his Vice Chair's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Alex Snicker. I am the Vice Chairman of the Libertarian Party of Florida. I am not running for re-election, so I got dressed up for no reason whatsoever. I want to start off with something that I had said when I ran for office that I was not able to accomplish first, because I want to make sure you identify the good and the bad in everything that you do. When I ran for this position, I wanted to have full affiliation. I wanted every county in the state of Florida to have an affiliate. I was ultimately not successful in making that happen. However, with that being said, if everyone looks into their packets, one thing that we were able to accomplish and finish is an affiliate manual. The one thing that I thought that I could do is to go around and talk to people and get them to commit to making an affiliate. Many of them did that. However, I wasn't there to be able to provide to them all of the tools that they would need in order to get that done. I thought they would be able to kind of do it themselves, and they needed a guide. We now have a guide. It's in digital form as well as in every one of your packets. If you live in a county that doesn't have an affiliate, you now have a guide that you need in order to make sure that you can have an affiliate. And it really takes as little as 2 people to get it done. We're going to continue to try to get that done because I'm not running for re-election, but I will be on the committees, on various committees within the LPF. That will continue. However, we got to make that happen. There's 2 people right now that I would like to identify in this room, and I'd like for them to stand up. First one is Crystal Turner, and the second one is Martin Sullivan. Martin. These people are elected libertarians in the state of Florida. And I'll tell you a little bit about each of them. Crystal lives in a city, Hampton, Florida. I got Hampton, right? I got it right?
Yes.
I got it right this time. Hampton, Florida. They fired their entire police force, removed the entire city council, and almost put out looking for people to step up to run for office. She did. She won. Second one is Martin Sullivan. Martin Sullivan didn't really care too much a whole about politics until he saw Joe Tate Thompson holding an Adrian Wiley sign on the side of the road where he lived. Got involved, said, you know what, I'm going to go try to do it myself, ran on his election, and won. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much, by the way. You tell me libertarians can't win elections, I got 2 people right there to prove you're wrong. Right. We have more people in this place right now that are going to be running again. If you are a candidate or thinking about being a candidate that is running for office in 2016, stand up. These are the front lines in 16, folks. These are the front lines. These people cannot do it by themselves, though. They need you. And by the way, there's no such thing as a dumb question. That was a great response, a great question you had, by the way, and I loved it very much. And you should be in every one of those meetings telling those people to stop spending that money. I wouldn't have known to do that 5 years ago myself. I'd have been here going, I don't know what the hell's going on. So congratulations to you, sir, on that.
To be fair, the duh thing was right, but.
No. I wouldn't have said that.
I gotta be fair to my friend.
Here's the thing, all of those candidates need your help. But I'm not telling you to you just automatically help those people. That's wrong. They have to earn your support. They have to earn your vote. And the candidates, you should know that. You got to know that it's up to you to get people to help you in your campaign. But people in this room, you got to understand, you find somebody you like, you get behind them. You help them. And these smaller races, these local races, these are winnable seats. We can get people elected into office. You got to have the right message at the right time, and you have to go out there and you have to work. You have to go door to door, knocking on doors, telling people who you are, asking for their vote, asking for it. Remember, you have to ask for their vote in order to make sure that happens. One other thing that we were able to accomplish, I'm not taking questions right now, I'm sorry, Jim. I love you, Jim. One thing we were able to accomplish is the CRM. There is a training on Sunday. I highly recommend every one of you affiliates and the candidates attend the CRM training. The CRM is how we will have institutional memory as to what goes on in the LPF. But it only works if you use it. If you don't use it, it won't work. And what a CRM is, it's a big, huge database that has all of our information in it. Except for we can actually access this, unlike the NSA information. In my time in running for as being the vice chair of the party, to say that I have been a contentious person is probably an understatement. There are many people in this room that like me, there are many people in this room that don't like me. But that goes with all of us. We're libertarians, for Pete's sake. How can we all get along and agree on anything anyway? We're individuals. That's the way it's going to be. But one thing I do want to say, though. I look around here, and the enemies are not in this room. The enemies are sitting on city council seats. The enemies are sitting in the State House in Tallahassee. The enemies are sitting in Washington, D.C. Those are the enemies. We may have ideological differences in this room, or maybe some people just don't like the way I act. I can go with both of them. However, remember this. We're all here because we want liberty and freedom. The people that we're up against are not in this room. They are out there. And we have to fight them. And I don't mean like physically fight, like hit the crap out of them or anything like that. But we have to challenge these people. We have to get in these places and make sure that we're doing that. That we're in these places to challenge them, whether it be a city council area. Those are great places to challenge it because you have the most impact as an individual. Here in Newport Richey, they're eliminating every red light camera in about 1.5 years because they have a contract that they signed that was just They got rid of those because of Mike Malta, who ran 2 years ago. And he was 40 votes away from winning. That scared the crap out of them enough that they had to eliminate that program. And then every time we walk in there, it's like they're trying to make coal. Because, boy, they tighten up like you've never seen it. Ultimately, I did appreciate my time as vice chairman of the party. I like the candidates and the stuff like that, so I wasn't going to run for re-election. I'll still be involved in the committees. I'm still going to be involved, but we need more people to step up and be leaders. And I think I want to end with this. We need more leaders. We don't need followers in the Libertarian Party. We need leaders in the Libertarian Party. Get involved in this thing. Get involved in the different committees on the state party. Run for one of the positions if you want to do that. But get involved. And remember, there's nobody that's going to come down and give you marching orders. You got to be a self-starter. You got to be willing to do it yourself. And you know what? If you do that, though, you'd be amazed at how far we are able to accomplish, how much we are able to accomplish by handling it that way. Again, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate the time that I spent, and we'll see you later.
Thank you, Alex. I always love talking after, I feel like I'm so calm after Alex. Usually I'm like the crazy hyper one, and Alex gets to go, and it's like, oh, I actually sound pretty mellow. And just to continue with Alex, I also will not be running for re-election. I actually just had a baby 6 weeks ago, so I'm going to take some time to do that. Thank you. But as Alex says, of course, I think this is almost like a gambling problem. Like being involved in the Libertarian Party is like being a compulsive gambler. It's like there's no way you can really stop. I know, like, give me a week without doing any work, and I'm still going to be involved in committees and all that, and I'm sure it won't be long before I'm back up here talking to all you guys, frazzled as I am. But to continue with what what Alex was saying about the elections, what he didn't mention was on the statewide level, we had people like Adrian Wiley who got 222,000 votes in the state of Florida. His campaign, I went around during the campaign, during the election season, speaking on different issues like Common Core, cannabis freedom, preserving the Second and Fourth Amendment, and as the election grew closer, the people that would come up to me, and people came up to me and actually asked if I knew who Adrian Wiley was. And I was like, this is fantastic. I mean, it's a libertarian, you know, to turn on the radio in the car in the morning and hear them talking about libertarian candidates, which happened with Lucas Overby and Adrian Wiley this past year. It was fantastic. You know, we also had Bill Wolsifer, who broke through the debate blackout by getting on televised debates with his major party candidates. I believe he got somewhere like 165,000 votes. So people know about libertarians are becoming popular, and that's pretty cool. We also had 30% membership growth the past year. And I think the voter registration growth was about in the 20% range, but that doesn't account for all the people we got to leave the other major parties and just vote registered NPA that still voted for our candidates and still support some of our issues. We just have to sell them a little more on joining the party. One of the things that I ran on that, like Alex said, that I didn't necessarily get to accomplish, but I think we made some progress on was our fundraising. The EC happily came together this past year and we passed an idea to have a fundraising director, the first hired position, a paid position in the party. It's a commission-based only position. We set up the entire structure and we interviewed, I thank Russ Wood for helping me on the interview panel. Michael Higgs and we interviewed people pretty extensively and we got the process down. We hired somebody who took the job and then they now stepped down from the job. It's realizing raising money for a political party is very difficult, and I realize that now too. Whenever I took on the job, I thought, oh, we'll just get money in no time. We'll establish fundraising. It is hard, but we have made progress, and we do have a system in place now for a position to take that over. And I urge the EC that's coming on to keep going with that, and I will help you guys, give you the the information. I know me, Russ, Mike Higgs, Alex, anyone that was involved in it will help keep that going, because I think we know the whole thing. We have to have money to make money, and it's hard whenever we're all volunteers out there trying to raise money and ask people for money. But if we give the incentive to somebody, they can make some commission. It might get them moving and get them really into it. So I urge everybody to please, on the EC, to please continue with that. Also, I wanted to make note of the talking about the city council meetings, like he mentioned. Lee County was able to get the school board to reject the Common Core or the Sunshine State Standards, and that's one of the things that you can do. Collier County. Was it Lee or Collier? Lee.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so that's the...
They flopped on us. They went back.
Right, they went back. Of course, they went back. But the fact that they did it in the first place, it scares them, I mean, they know we're there now, and they know that people aren't going to stand up. It just takes anyone going there and, like it's been mentioned, making a point to tell them what's happening. Some people there don't even know the alternative. They never thought about the alternative of not having the government control everything. So it's good to get in there and just, keep saying it. I could talk on forever, so I will end my report now. We'll continue on to the platform committee report. I'll yield back to Alex.
This one I actually have just something to say. I'll just read Tom's words instead. All right, this is from an email from Tom, who is the chair of the platform committee, who couldn't make it. Alex. The spring has been hectic. Babies born, family members lost. As such, I will be unable to attend the 2015 LPF convention as planned. Please present the following remarks to the convention if time permits. Due to issues in my private life, I cannot attend this year's convention. Let me start by saying both the mission and goal of the platform committee. The mission of the LPF Platform Committee is to clearly present the ideas of liberty to which we as a party ascribe and expect to be held accountable. The goal of the LPF Platform Committee is to develop the declaration of the LPF's principles and aims consistent with libertarian ideas to help unify the party and clarify our direction. I believe any platform plank that doesn't meet the mission and goals should either be removed from the platform and certainly not added. As many of you know, the LPF went without a published platform for many years. When I was asked to serve as chairman of the platform committee, I took it seriously. Having seen at the state conventions vast amounts of precious time wasted arguing over the use of single words and knowing the importance of the platform, the decision was made to conduct all platform business on our LPF forums. This is a site controlled by the LPF, not some third party or government, so it is reasonably secure and, more importantly, paid for. The decision was made to assure that the wording of the platform and the ideas could be clearly and methodically reviewed, discussed, and debated transparently. The result was a platform in which its entirety was approved by you, the members of the LPF, with only 2 hours of debate. Now, actually, for that, I do want to stop so you can applaud. And if you don't know why you're applauding for that, ask somebody that did applaud. That is some kind of LPF record. We've seen longer debates wording a single sentence in the standing rules. As such, the methodology of conducting the platform committee business in writing, where the entirety of all discussions can be read and reviewed, has proven to be very effective. If the EC chooses to keep me as platform committee chairperson, the platform committee will continue to conduct all of its official business at the LPF forums. As an LPF delegate, I urge you to join the forums to see the minutes of all EC meetings, the reports of your regional representatives, etc. This is a tool that helps keep the LPF transparent, and you can view the works of your party at your convenience. Since 2015, nobody has presented any proposed changes to the platform committee, and no platform committee member has presented any proposed changes. Inasmuch as there have been no changes proposed, the LPF platform should remain as is, and the platform committee has no recommendations for adding or deleting to the LPF platform for 2015. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Tom Rhodes, LPF Platform Committee Chair.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we have the candidate committee. Ken Willie. Is Ken in here? He's not in here, okay. We will then move on to the membership committee. Lynn House, I yield the floor to you.
Dana said it's hard to stay away. I'm living proof of that. This year I'm the chair of the membership committee. The membership committee is a constitutionally mandated committee of the Libertarian Party of Florida. And you can find our rules and purposes on page 5 of the Constitution. This year, we ended the year with 2,653 members. The LPF gained 592 members this year. The number represents a percentage growth of 29%. I'd like to ask Adrian Wiley, Bill Wassifer, members of the membership committee, and members of the social media committee of the communications committee to please stand up. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Thank you. I'm asking you to stand because you're responsible for growth in the largest amount of growth in a region. That's Region 4, which has no rep. They grew by a whopping 39% thanks to your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Now we have the Marketing and Communications Committee reports. Alex, yield back.
One of the things that you notice is that some of us stand up more than others and come up to the floor. It does mean that there are positions available if you choose to want them. I did take over Communications Committee. One thing I do want to recognize, and the social media team, if you're at all involved in the communications on there, please do stand up. Again, the Communications Committee in and of itself. Anybody that's on the committee, stand up. our Facebook page. Now, there's 3 things in Facebook. Remember, you got the Facebook group page, you got the solutions page, and you have the kind of fan page or whatever you want to call it. We are #1 in the nation when it comes to the amount of people that are on our page, and it has to do with the people that work on that committee.
Wow.
The only official libertarian organization that has us beat is national. And we got a long ways to go before we can get there now. They got one of the things that we have instituted with the communications committee, this is the first month that you've seen it, if you've seen them out there, is the newsletter. It is a printable newsletter. Normally we were just doing an email blast to everybody. Ray McGee, is Ray here by the way? Ray McGee, are you here? Okay. Ray McGee had contacted me and wanted to get involved, and I said, hey, can you do the newsletter? And he was like, great, yeah, I'll do the newsletter. Well, if you look out there, there's an 8-page document right now, folded 11 by 17, that is the newsletter. There, hold up that copy right there. There you go. We're going to put this out on a monthly basis. Now, we're not going to print them all for you at the state party, unless you guys want to give us enough money to do that. However, we are going to send it to you so you can print it out. If you are an affiliate and you have events going on, we want your information. So send it to news@lpf.org for inclusion into the newsletter. If you have an article that you're writing, send it to news@lpf.org and it will make it. It may not make it right away because it's only 8 pages long, but it will make it eventually though. I mean, I didn't even get my article in this month and I wrote one. So, make sure that we have this. The reason we're doing this is very simple. We want to give you a tool that you can use to give to others, because people want, one big complaint that you hear all the time is, well, what are libertarians really doing anyway? They're not doing anything, because all I watch is 3 mainstream media channels, and I don't look anything else out of the internet other than porn. Like, of course this guy's not going to know what we got going on. So that's why you have to have a newsletter to go hand to him to let him know of things that are going on, events that are going on around the state. We're going to make this as a tool for you. Also, for inclusion into the monthly newsletter, you have to have your information by the 15th before. So, like for July's newsletter, June 15th is when you have to have your email in to Ray McGee in order to be included into it. This is one committee like you're seeing from a lot of the other committees. Again, we really want people to be involved in their local affiliate above all. We really try to stress that. But we can't do that and leave the state party kind of bare either. So if you can find one little thing to do at the state party level and do most of your stuff at a local level, it'll work out pretty well. But we do need that one little thing, because we got to have people that are on the committees that are doing things for the benefit of the entire state. Voluntarily, of course. I don't want to force anybody to do anything. Voluntary association, of course. But that is what's going on with the communications committee. Again, I'm very happy with what they're doing. Honestly, I'm a traffic cop in this thing. They're all a bunch of teams in there. They're the ones that do all the work. I just try to kind of put it together and then ask the EC for money when they want me to ask them for money. But those are the people that are on the committee that do most of the work that's on it. And honestly, thank you to them for what they do.
All right, we will now move on to the Rules Committee. Adrian Wiley is chosen to speak on behalf of the Rules Committee. Adrian, I yield to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, gang, buckle up. This is going to be a long one. I've been selected to present the proposed amendments to the Constitution and bylaws by the Rules Committee. However, there is a disagreement whether the bylaws were followed in proposing the procedures. At issue is the question of whether the Rules Committee gave proper notice within 30 days in advance of the convention. Essentially, it boils down to the Rules Committee did give notice to the EC and did give notice on one of our internet venues, the Facebook page, 30 days prior notice. However, the question is whether that is proper notice per the bylaws. So at this time, I yield to Bill Walsifer for presentation of an appeal. The Rules Committee did actually review the process and determined that it was within the bylaws, but that is the area of contention for the constitutional amendment proposals. Bill, floor is yours.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank the Rules Committee for allowing me to present this appeal. May it please the delegates. What's at issue here is the issue of notice. We have a Constitution that we follow. The Constitution is our most salient document. We have standing rules, we have bylaws. The Constitution defines who we are. It is the contract between the members and the party. We are a political party. We're not a libertarian club. I don't mean club in a facetious way. There are many political clubs that do wonderful things, but they're not covered by statutes, and they're not held to the strict standard that we are. We are recognized in many counties, and we're recognized at the state level, and we're held to our Constitution. Our Constitution requires notice to its members if it's going to be amended, and the Constitution allows for amendment. It's Article 6 of the Constitution that provides in Section 2 ways that the Constitution could be amended.
Bill, if I could just a quick point of order. Ken, we're currently in the debate phase, but technically you need to move to appeal the decision of the Rules Committee so we can proceed to that debate. We need a second, and then we can go back to discussion. So.
Thank you.
So there's an appeal right now from the bill to the Rules Committee decision. Is there a second?
Second.
I don't know who said it first.
Okay. So now the floor is open to debate, and I yield to Bill.
I'll repeat what I just said and continue, that there are 2 ways that the amendment could be, that the Constitution could be amended. Section B doesn't apply yet, because that requires that we have an affiliate in every county. And we don't have that, and that's a goal, and we're heading in that direction. Section A provides notice to the members, and I'll read it specifically. I think the language is important. Amendments must be published among the executive committee, county affiliates, and all members in good standing 30 days prior to the annual business meeting. That's about notice, and I'll continue. And passed by 2/3 of the members present at that meeting. I'm not here to argue the merits of the amendment, just whether or not it should be up for debate today. And I suggest that notice was not proper. Notice is fundamental. It's a fundamental right under our Constitution and under every Constitution. And I have a room full of constitutionalists, so I'm preaching to the choir when I mentioned the Mullane case. It's a Mullane v. Central Hanover Trust. It's a 1950 case. And a holding that's repeated often on notice, quote, an elementary and fundamental requirement of due process in any proceeding which is to be accorded finality is notice reasonably calculated under all the circumstances to apprise interested parties the pendency of the action and afford them an opportunity to present their objections. Notice, an opportunity to be heard, as we're being heard today. I have an opportunity to be heard, but my notice came late. I'm a Region 3 member, I'm an active member of the party, and I was not aware of this. The notice that was presented, as Adrian very fairly says, was on Libertarian Solutions. It did not reach me. I'm not active on that page. And even if I were, Libertarian Solutions has 626 members. Our party has, our party has 2,653 members. So if every member who is on that page, read that page, and had this notice, that would be 24% of the party. So that is not reasonably calculated under all circumstances to apprise all parties. Likewise, an email went out to EC members. There's 19 people, I believe, that received that email. Again, 19 out of 2,653 is not reasonably calculated. And at the meeting, the EC meeting held on May 3rd, where this was discussed, our minutes reflected there were 15 people in attendance. Again, far from the entire membership. I was not at that meeting. I had an excused absence, as reflected in the minutes, because I was in Charleston, South Carolina. Had I known there was a constitutional amendment to be discussed at that meeting, I would have made exceptions for my time in Charleston to attend it. I missed that notice and I missed that opportunity, hence this appeal. So we go to the issue of what is publishing for the purpose of our documents. We have guidance on that. Fortunately, we do. Our standing rules mention publish only once with regard to notice, as our Constitution mentions it only once with regard to notice. And it states in Article 4, Section 6, with regard to EC meetings, by analogy, notice of all party meetings shall be provided and indicated at time, date, place, or telephone conference, etc., 14 days prior. Notice of meetings, including the above referenced information, shall be published on the official Libertarian Party of Florida website at http://www.lpf.org, at least 14 days prior to the meeting. That's a different time requirement of 14 days, but it tells us when you want to publish notice to all members, you use lpf.org. And I don't think there's anyone on the committee that doesn't know that. I also think it's undisputed that lpf.org was not working at the time. The last I looked, it still was not working. So the question is, was there proper notice? And how important is notice? Notice is very important. If we go forward, we're not preserving the integrity of our documents. And as the chair pointed out, we are growing. And the more we grow, the more we're going to be under the microscope. And here's an opportunity to preserve that. Now, Carla Howe told us that we have to look for solutions. And she's always speaking of solutions. And I took some of the training courses with her, and the focus is on solutions. And I think that's wonderful. And we are not without a solution. This amendment, to those who think it has merit, we don't have to wait till next year's convention. We have a provision in Standing Rule 11, Article 11, Section 2, that says that 25% of the affiliates will hold a special meeting to propose whatever they want at a special meeting. That can be done. So there is a solution, and we don't have to put this off till next year. If we have approximately, I'm not sure how many affiliates we have now, but I think 25% would be around 7 or 8 county affiliates. If they think it's important enough, hold a special meeting. And if we don't have that much support, maybe it wouldn't pass anyway. So I thank you for this time to give the appeal, and ask that the issue of notice be given its due importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And I'd just like to address some fine points in what Bill stated before we open the floor for discussion on this matter. First, the last thing you mentioned, 25% of the affiliates calling a meeting for a special, special issue, that would preclude a change to the Constitution, because per the Constitution it can only be changed at the annual business meeting. So that, effectively, that couldn't be done. Let me also talk about the notice provision. I just want to clarify that the Rules Committee did notify the Executive Committee with well prior notice. The Executive Committee did post the proposed constitutional amendment in the agenda. The meeting was held. 2/3 of the Executive Committee voted to present this constitutional amendment to the delegation, to you folks, for a vote. And also it was in the minutes, which were published, and here's where it comes into question. They were published on the Facebook pages well within the 30 days notice, but the question becomes, is the Facebook page enough? Some people have suggested that we should have contacted every member individually with this information. Unfortunately, logistically, that's not practical. It can't be done. Should it have been posted on the website, the lpf.org website? Yeah, maybe. Probably. Did the LPF drop the ball on that? Perhaps we did. But here's the thing. From my perspective, any business that the LPF conducts, if there's a question, when in doubt, we should present it to you for a vote. So essentially what this vote has become is you deciding whether or not you get the opportunity to vote on a change to our Constitution. And with that, I'd like to open the floor for discussion. Yes.
Hi, I'm George Lewis from the Libertarian affiliate. I'd like to begin by conceding that I believe everything that Bill said is correct. Technically, following all the rules, what he said is correct. Is posting on the Facebook page sufficient? I don't think so. Not everybody has access to Facebook. We're not all members of that Facebook page. It didn't go out to Facebook. However, we're not here to argue fine points. We're here to get things accomplished. We want to get things done. Ultimately, the decision is going to be made in this room whether or not the notification went out precisely the way it should have or not. So I believe that we could spend a great deal of time spinning our wheels, arguing fine points, and not making any progress. I'm going to respectfully ask Bill to please remove his objection. Thank you.
Wow. Yes, you recognize?
I was just wondering, Donald Menzel, sorry, Seminole County affiliate, was the affiliates notified prior to?
I don't know specifically that the affiliates were notified. However, if I'm not mistaken, representatives from each affiliate, at least one representative of the executive committee of each affiliate is a member of the pages on which it was published. Can anyone correct me if I'm wrong on that? Are there any affiliates that do not have at least one EC member that is on the solutions page? Okay, so hearing no objection, I would assume that the affiliates were all notified.
I guess maybe I should clarify that. Did the EC, our state EC, notify our executive committees per count?
Charles, can you answer that?
That way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was the agenda with the rules packet, or the agenda of the EC meeting immediately prior to this convention, was that sent to the affiliates? Because that contained the information.
I did not send it. That I can.
Not are the minutes. Okay. So no, the answer would be, were the affiliates directly notified? Probably not. So, yes. And forgive me if I don't call on you by name. I forgot my glasses in my room, and I'm pretty much blind as a bat without them. But I see a hand in the back.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. My name is Augustus Victus. I'm from Orange County. Like Mr. Wolfsburg, I'm also an attorney. I would respectfully disagree with the man up front. I'm sorry I missed your name. But the fact that we would argue for political expediency instead of following the rules, I would have to respectfully disagree with that. And we are here to follow the fine points. As Mr. Wolfsburg said, we are a room full of constitutionalists, and if we are not following our own rules, we are saying that we want to hold our politicians to a higher standard to follow the rules. And if we attack them for their efforts at political expediency instead of following those rules, I think that would make us not just a room full of constitutionalists, but a room full of hypocrites.
Alex, you recognize?
This is Alex Sticker, Vice Chair. I'm not a lawyer. I just happen to be the one that was involved in this thing from the beginning to the end. And let me lay out the time frame for everyone. We submitted this well in advance. We actually gave notice that I was even gonna submit this well in advance. This thing came from multiple members as to why we did this. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this was put out as much as we could have put it out because people got involved in it right off the bat. That's what happened. It was voted on by the Rules Committee and passed. It was voted on by the EC and passed. Notice was given. This is a gray area at this point. Now, I can understand that the governing documents do have a gray area right now on this one. This is where I'll disagree with these guys. This is a gray area because one of the things that it talks about is where you post it. It's either the Yahoo group or whatever subsequent groups are from that. And so you can say that the solutions page, whether you're on the solutions page or not, is irrelevant. It's available to you. Whether you're on the forums or not is irrelevant. It's available to you. Proper notice was given. Now, if you didn't know about it, I suggest you get more involved because it was out there. It wasn't like we were trying to hide this. We went through every stage of the process on this. And when this thing came back to the Rules Committee looked at it, said it was a gray area, and deferred it back to you because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, let me just clarify. That was the ruling from when the appeal was initially sent to the Rules Committee. We did convene. We did review it. And we did say, yeah, there's an argument there that notice may have not followed the letter of the law. As far as intent and following the spirit of the law, I believe absolutely we followed the spirit of the law. But did we follow the letter of the law? Well, it depends because, you know, the specification of the Yahoo groups, which no longer exists, or its successor, we never truly identified what the successor to the Yahoo groups was. There's some question whether it's the lpf.org website, and there's some question whether it's the LPF solution page. Now, the Yahoo groups, which it specifically specifies, keep in mind this was before the LPF even had a website, and the Yahoo groups were actually a vehicle by which members could interact directly with each other. They could have a back and forth conversation. On the website, that's not possible. So the venue that we have that would most closely match the Yahoo groups would be the Facebook page where members can have direct interaction and input and so on and so forth. So though the Rules Committee did determine that, yeah, there can be a valid question to that, we also determined that when in doubt, you should decide whether the rules were followed and whether you should have the opportunity to vote on the constitutional amendment. Yes?
There's a concept in a lot of organizations with constitutions.
Excuse me, he's not attendee, he's not delegate.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you're not a delegate, you're unable to speak to this matter. I apologize.
Sorry.
Yes, Adele.
I'm Adele Blackman in Pinellas County, Florida. What I thought of, I mean, when Carla was talking about solutions, I understand we're supposed to vote on this right now. The solution might be to hold off on the vote until the end of the meeting or tomorrow. And every attendee here obviously will know about it. And therefore, since we're the only voting people, we know now.
Well, currently we're on the motion to appeal the ruling of the Rules Committee. So a motion to table the main motion, the actual constitutional amendment, is out of order at this time. However, once the appeal, the motion to appeal the ruling of the Rules Committee is heard, then that motion would be in order. So once we get through the outcome of the appeal, then a motion to table until tomorrow would be in order.
So I should offer that?
It actually wouldn't be tabling, it would postpone. Yeah, it would be a motion to postpone until tomorrow. So, yes, Jared.
Thank you. Jared Graffoni, at-large 1 currently, and Collier County Chair. I had spent a lot of time thinking about this issue. I've seen Bill's appeal on the concern of some of the appellants on this particular issue. And I think we really, and as an attorney as well, the last thing this party needs is a battle of the internal attorneys. Really, what we need to look at is the language. We have common sense, we're delegates. Let's look at the language of the Constitution. Article 6, Section 2, on amendments, Section A. Amendments must be published. That's the key word, published. And then it goes on top of the 30 days. So what's the definition of publish? Oxford Dictionary defines publish, to formally announce or to read. LPF Executive Committee meetings have been publicly noticed as occurring on the first Sunday of the month for the last 2 years at 7:30 p.m. The current conference setup, telephone number, and code has been readily available for all members publicly since the 2013 LPF convention when I set up the conference. The May 3rd, 2015 meeting of the EC was published to the Solutions Group through April 12th on our agenda. So we're going back now almost 2 months. The April 12th, or the first Sunday in April meeting, which I think was either the 11th or the 12th, the minutes were published. The last item on that agenda is informing everybody that our next meeting was going to be on May 3rd. The minutes were published of that meeting by one of the appellants on May 3rd. The May 5th meeting was called to order by Dana Cummings, our chair, at 7:30 on May 3rd. The motion was read into the record, public record, at 8:18 p.m. on the 3rd, over a month ago. It was seconded by our treasurer, James Morris, at 8:19. It was debated by the EC publicly. These calls are open to the public. Everyone is welcome to be on that call. For approximately 17 minutes, voted at 8:36. It passed 11-2 with 1 abstention. Our bylaws also mention notice, and Adrian referenced that earlier. The EC Yahoo group or its successor shall satisfy, in read-only fashion, mind you, shall satisfy the county chairs on that requirement. Now, there's no question, and I've been talking about this for years, that our LPF internal documents, our constitution, our bylaws, our standing rules are a mess. If we go through that document right now, we probably all can just go home, because there are several requirements in that document that I believe were not properly met on the certification of delegates. So we have what's called precedent. Last year we had a similar situation with a constitutional amendment. The EC meeting was deemed as notice 30 days prior to the annual business meeting. So we've been through this before. I don't know why we're having this discussion once again. The Facebook Solutions page, there's an email to the EC, publicly accessible agenda, again published on May 3rd, 34 days prior to today. And a follow-up post was posted on that Solutions page on May 5th, which is 32 days prior to this current meeting. So I think we have an opportunity today to settle the entire discussion. Let's have the debate. Let's move on. Let's have the debate. Let's discuss the merits. We have 99 delegates here for the entire state of Florida. Millions of people, 25,000 Libertarian registered voters, 2,500 or so members. And we're talking about publishing, formally noticed. Anytime those items are published anywhere for public consumption would satisfy that requirement, in my opinion. And if this was a different question, if we were talking right now about getting this item, voting on it, and moving on, I think perhaps there might be a little bit of a different feeling amongst the delegates. But right now, we're talking about the opportunity for you to express your opinion. I mean, what better time than right now when we're all here, the most dedicated members of this party, county affiliate chairs, executive committee, state committee, etc., voters, candidates. Now's the time to resolve this question. And I think if you see the content of the amendment, if you've read this item on the agenda, the content of this amendment, this is a non-controversial item, folks. We're talking about who we consider internally as members. And we can get into that discussion once we get past this appeal, which I hope the delegates will vote against. Thank you.
Can we call the question?
Scott has made a motion to call the question. It has been seconded. We'll do this by voice vote quickly on calling the question.
To stop discussion?
We have to end discussion first.
Yeah. If a motion is made to call the question, it's not open for discussion. The question must be called.
Yeah, the question has been called, so it's not a motion to end discussion. It's a motion to call the question. So call this question is not debatable. So all in favor of calling the question on the amendment, on the appeal, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. That sounds like a nay to me. So discussion is still open. The question is not yet called. Yes, standing. And I apologize again. I really can't see your faces, so I don't know who that is.
So that banner right behind you, I've seen that emailed to me for the last 120 days. I've been getting hammered with communications about this convention. If an attorney, a practicing attorney, isn't aware of deadlines, a 30-day heads up, you want to make a change, send it in. I can't explain why we're even talking about this anymore.
Yes.
Bob Costa, Sarasota, Florida. Two things. First of all, I think personally, at a convention, any subject should be open with no requirements for prior notice. But having said that, we do have a requirement for prior notice, and to say that something published out in the ether somewhere is proper notice is absurd. I could be a member of all 3 Libertarian Facebook pages and still miss that if I don't log on to Facebook for a day, because conversations come in, things get pushed down, there's no real adequate search or alert capabilities. And I think it's important, not for the discussions on the table or the amendments on the table, but we have to decide as a group where notice is going to be, where things that are important are going to be. And if they're supposed to be on the lpf.org page, that's where they should be. And if they're not there, we're not living up to the demands that we're trying to enforce on the rest of government and our basic philosophy. So that's what I have to say.
And let me just speak to that briefly. There is a very valid question as what vehicle, whether it be Facebook, whether it be LPF, whether it be simultaneously in both, is defined in proper notice, because it is not spelled out in our governing documents. It just says the successor to the Yahoo groups, which there's debate over what that is. So yeah, please rise to be recognized. Hard to see hands. Yes, Scott?
I'm not an attorney. The Constitution says it should be published. There are laws in our state, in the state, that says in various things, divorce decrees and other things that you attorneys can come up with, that things have to be published, and so that people put 3 little lines inside the business section of the newspaper, and that satisfies as published. I don't get a newspaper because I get all my news off of digital. People get their stuff off of digital, but that still satisfies the law. Our thing says published. Just because not everybody is on Facebook doesn't mean that we haven't satisfied everything. It was published on Facebook. Just because it moves down in conversation, publishing in the business section, people don't get to the business section and read that, read those little personal things. It amounts to the same thing. It's been published. It's available. We understand that when we come here, that we're going to get a document to read over to decide upon. We are the Libertarian Party in action. We get to take a look at this and decide, does it make sense or not? Some years, we haven't paid on things that don't make sense, and we cut it out. We vote it down. But we are the voting people here. It's been published. It's been published in a venue that is available. And so it meets our Constitution. Thank you.
Yes.
I heard a call to question.
Was that do you move to call the question?
Call the question.
We have another motion to call the question. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay. Voice vote.
That's
a roll call.
That's a roll call. It's too close for me to call. Yeah, roll call, please.
Oh, somebody's in trouble. Hold on, just a moment. I got you.
We could, I mean, do we want to do a standing and count?
Yeah, let's do a standing count on that.
All in favor of calling the question, please stand.
This is only to stop debate.
Well, no, it's to call the question. It's to vote on the appeal. Yeah. That's not enough. That's not a majority.
Are you sure?
Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3.
Separate the room.
That's too much chaos.
Are these all the
Adrian. Hold on, I'll count.
Wait, just let me just clarify, you guys. Hold on, Alex. Alex, hold on. Let me just clarify. This is if you would like us to call the question now. You're rising. This is the vote to call. Do we want to call the question? We're not.
Do we want to vote on whether we get to vote on the amendment?
Right now.
That's what we're essentially
doing. So this is voting aye to call the question for standing, and then you're going to count the ones, then you're going to have the nays stand and count them. Am I correct?
Right.
All right. Adele, that makes...
Yes.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 41, we need to get it's a majority. 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49.
Did you get me, Alex?
52.
All right.
So that is a majority, and we now will call the question.
Yeah.
And the question, an aye vote, is to uphold the Rules Committee decision. So if you vote...
Which means you get to vote on it.
Right.
You get to vote, we get to discuss the amendment, and you will have the opportunity to vote on it. A no vote means we don't present the constitutional amendment, you don't get the opportunity to discuss it, and you don't get a vote on it.
So all in favor of upholding the Rules Committee decision, please stand.
All right, so run that, we're standing to uphold and vote.
Let me explain this one. Okay, a yes vote here means essentially the appeal fails and that we move on to actually presenting the amendment. You get the opportunity to discuss it and you get the opportunity to vote on it. If you vote no here, the constitutional amendment will not be heard. You will not have the opportunity to discuss it, and you will not have the opportunity to vote on it. So if you want the opportunity to hear the amendment and vote on it, stand now. If you don't, remain seated.
Okay. So, we're going to sit again as you count them?
I'll count. Okay. 1. Adrian, are you standing or no?
I am standing.
2.
I don't get to vote.
Oh, you don't get to vote. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Are you standing? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 40.
Okay, so essentially what that means is the Rules Committee has been overturned. We will not present the constitutional amendments, so therefore the appeal is successful.
Excuse, you need to count the nays and the none of the above.
Oh,
oh, we do need to count the abstentions, yeah, all right. So please rise if you vote nay.
Alex, some are not delegates who are sitting either. Some who are sitting are not delegates.
I think we need a...
Yeah, we had 99 delegates.
99 delegates.
Yeah.
Yeah, count the nays.
So we have 40 yeas.
Voting with Bill. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. And actually, it's very authoritarian. Because Bill and Bill are making the decision. None of us get to hear it. And that's bullshit. This is a bottom-up organization. If there's a question as to whether the delegates should hear it, the delegates should hear it.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,
No, this is the vote.
39.
Oh.
40. Sorry. Are you standing as well, sir? You were?
Okay.
That's 40. 40.
Oh, okay, well, it's a good thing we continued.
Who's abstaining?
Everybody else.
No, abstaining.
Hey, Alex, in this case, because we do have an exact tie, yeas and nays, procedurally the abstentions are irrelevant.
That's correct.
So we have a tiebreaker situation where the chair casts the deciding vote. So, Madam Chair, make the decision.
And I vote aye to uphold the Rules Committee decision. There was a tie vote 40-40, so the chair, yes.
May I ask for a recount?
Sure.
Okay.
That's a good move.
That's actually a good idea.
Let's do a recount.
Point of order.
Point of order, here's Jared.
Who set the criteria for the appeal at civil majority?
We are using there was no criteria set. There is no criteria set on how to appeal a decision of a committee, so we are deferring to appealing the decision of the chair, which is a simple majority to overturn the decision of the chair.
We're going.
We're going to do a recount. All in favor of upholding the Rules Committee decision and hearing this motion on the floor today, please rise.
Stand up. I'm sorry, are you a delegate?
Yes.
You are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is...
The motion is...
Hold Hold on, let's start over. Say what the motion is again. Just go, make sure everybody totally understands what we're voting on. Say the motion again.
A yay vote here will allow the delegates to hear the constitutional amendment and discuss it on the floor and then vote on it today. A no vote means we will cross this whole item off the agenda on the Constitution today.
There it is. All right, start over though. I got to go back to 0. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, James, are you talking? 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. So I got the count of 46. Do you concur with that? Okay. Now, if your vote was
no.
If you're a no, stand up. Okay, here we go. Once again. 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
Kevin, that's hilarious.
4, 5,
Probably people that pay you.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. That was 40, right? That's what I thought.
46 to 40. Yeah, I have it.
So that would only be 3 abstentions, which would not be past the margin. So the appeal is denied. The decision of the Rules Committee is upheld. And we now can move on to the motion to amend the Constitution. Yeah.
So if everybody would go to their rules packet, the rules packet, we will start with item A. All right, so the rules packet, we're going to be moving to the rules packet now to start with item A, and Adrian will present that.
And I'd just like to say that I'm extremely proud of how that process just worked. If this were a Republican convention, it'd just be on the teleprompter that, in the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it.
Yes.
So. Yeah, either way. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the actual amendment proposed by the Rules Committee. And it is an amendment to Article 2, Section 1. Move to amend Article 2, Section 1 of the LPF Constitution to read, LPF membership is open to whoever registers as a Libertarian with the County Supervisor of Elections office where that person resides in accordance with the Statute of Florida. Subsection A, any member who is elected or appointed to a representative or leadership position within the LPF, including convention or electoral college delegate, committee member, or party officer, shall sign the pledge, I hereby certify that I do not believe in or advocate the initiation of force as a means of achieving political or social goals. And if I could just speak briefly to this motion for a moment. A lot of people have objected to this on the basis that it means we're taking away the NAP as a criteria for membership. And I don't believe that to be true. Everyone in this room had to sign the NAP. Under the new amendment, everybody in this room would have to sign the NAP. Under the old rules, the Executive Committee had to sign the NAP. Under the new rules, the Executive Committee has to sign the NAP. Same goes for every electoral college member, every committee member, so on and so forth. This doesn't change any of that. What this does do...
Point of order.
Yeah.
Did you need a second? I second.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I am completely out of order. Thank you for the second. The motion is moved and seconded. Now the floor is open for discussion. So, I'm rusty. It's been a while since I've chaired anything. So the point being is that I've traveled the state from one end to the other. In the last 2 years, I've covered 100,000 miles inside the state of Florida talking to voters. And the one thing I can tell you without question is that virtually everyone who is registered with the Libertarian Party of Florida, they went to their SOE, they filled out their voter registration form, thinks they're a member of the LPF. It's almost universal. When I explain to them that, well, yes, you're a registered Libertarian, but you're not a member of your local affiliate, and you're not a member of the state party, and you're not a member of the national party, most often I'm met with confusion or angry. A lot of times I get the answer, well, that's stupid. Why? So really, the impetus behind this is to align membership with what the public already believes. You know, right now, the Republicans and Democrats, same is true with them. They don't have any membership, status for registered Republicans or Democrats. In fact, the only way you become a member of the Republican or Democrat Party is if you get elected to a leadership position. Well, we're being different. We're actually extending our membership to everyone who registers as a Libertarian, and I think that's a good thing. So that those people, when they register, essentially they become members. Now, if they want to get involved, if they want to do anything that represents Libertarians, if they want to get to any position of elected or appointed office, anything that molds the direction of the party, they have to sign the non-aggression principle, which is the underlying principle by which the party makes all decisions. So that's why I support this amendment. The one thing I will say, though, whether this amendment passes or fails, it's not the end of the world either way. This is a minor procedural thing. I think a lot of people have blown this up into something that it's not. And, quite frankly, pass, fail, I don't have that strong opinion either way. It'd be nice. I'd just like to have the conversation with someone. Oh, you're a registered Libertarian? Oh, yes, you are a member of the party. It'd just make outreach that much easier. So with that, I'd like to open the floor for discussion. Yes, you're recognized.
Does that include delegates?
No, delegates have to sign the NAP.
I object.
Okay.
I would like to say the non-aggressive principle is a binding fellowship that we can all agree on. If delegates can vote and they don't sign the non-aggressive principle...
No. Delegates do have to sign it.
You just told me no.
You said no. No, he didn't. No, he said that delegates have to sign it.
Well, however I answered, I meant to answer that they do have to sign it. I might have misunderstood how you phrased the question. Delegates do have to sign the NAP. Absolutely. Anybody in any representative position in the party has to sign the NAP. And if they don't get a vote, they don't get a position, they don't get to be elected or appointed to any leadership office. Yes?
Yes, Adrian, J.J. Jensen, Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County, I should say. The question is, and you would be a good one to know the answer to this, what does the state require for a candidate to be listed as a Libertarian on the ballot?
Just that they're a registered Libertarian for 1 year in advance of the qualification date. So we can...
So this will have no reflection on our candidates on the ballot for the state?
It would in one specific way. It won't, no. Absolutely, there's nothing we can do under law to prohibit someone who refused to sign the NAP from running as a Libertarian. However, what we can do, and what we would have the authority to do, is fail to certify them as a candidate that the LPF supports if they refuse to sign the NAP. So that is what this provision would allow for. Currently, we don't have that provision, so it would actually allow us to not certify and not support candidates who don't sign the NAP.
Please, may I be heard? Because I
Yes.
need something clarified. I need to know what the motion is. You read all but the last part of the sentence. So is your motion up to, does it end the sentence with social goals, or does it end the sentence with such position?
Oh, did I stop at social goals?
Yes.
You did.
I do apologize for that. No, it ends at upon or prior to nomination for such position. So it's essentially that whole area leading up to current wording.
Second question. In the EC meeting, the EC voted to strike upon or, and it should read, our social goals prior to nomination of such position. So what is the motion being made today?
The motion being made today is the amendment in full. So essentially, the next paragraph down, where what's being stricken, it's being replaced by the underlined language. Do they have the same
information?
Charlotte,
Yes.
do you have the vote on that? I know we
I
discussed.
do have the vote on that, and she is correct. Upon or, as I'm basing this on my draft minutes. I listened to that conversation the first time when we had it, and I went back and listened to it 2 or 3 times. I believe the draft is correct. That has to be certified later.
Point of information.
Draft is correct?
Point of information.
Yes.
I made the motion to strike upon or, it was approved.
Okay,
I
so-
confirmed, Charlotte.
So this is a type, it's an error on the paper. If you can look at the last sentence and strike upon or.
Okay.
Do we need to reread it and then have it second?
Yeah, let me reread it now that I wasn't aware that change had been made. So let me go ahead and reread it in its entirety. All right, so the motion that we are currently discussing is a change to Article 2, Section 1 of membership. LPF membership is open to whoever registers as a Libertarian with the County Supervisor of Elections office, where that person resides, and in accordance with the statutes of the state of Florida. Subsection A, any member who is elected or appointed to a representative or leadership position within the LPF, including convention or electoral college delegate, committee member, or party officer, shall sign the pledge, quote, I hereby certify that I do not believe in or advocate the initiation of force as a means of achieving political or social goals, prior to, unquote, end quote, prior to nomination to such position. Okay, floor is open for discussion.
Just point of information, I believe there was actually another change to this that was approved by the EC. In the sentence, section 1, I believe the change read, LPF membership is open to whoever registers as a Libertarian Party of Florida voter with the county supervisor elections, in case there was another entity that was created in the state called Libertarian. This was specifically for the Libertarian Party of Florida.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
It was correct. I remember that.
Move to call the question.
Oh, we have a motion to call a question. That requires a second and a vote. Do I hear a second on call the question? Fails for, I did hear a second. Okay, late second there. All in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Discussion is still open. Yes. Russ, I saw you. I'll get to next.
William Cox, Broward County. I have a concern about this kind of a bill as it's read right now. What would stop a person that decides they don't want to be following, promoted by the LPF, runs for a position, he becomes by default being a member with this bill in place, and if he decides to violate the NAP, he would reflect on what a libertarian is, because he would be saying, I am a libertarian, but I can go punching people in the face randomly and not have any consequence to this action.
There are provisions in the Constitution and bylaws for removal of a member who violates an act.
But actually, later, we're not discussing that now, but then there's going to be, in order for this to be enacted, you're going to be changing how that would be done, where in the bylaws, you would say that you have to sign the NAP first before you can take consequences on these people. If you didn't sign the NAP, how can you decide to kick someone out by not signing the NAP?
Because regardless of whether someone has signed that pledge, it's still a fundamental principle of the party as defined in our platform. So.
Here, let me make, to answer your question a little bit more, the next constitutional change on the agenda would actually change the wording from saying they signed the oath to they violate the principle. So it would extend into not just those who signed the oath, but if they violated the principle of non-aggression, then we could go forward with what we have in our governing documents to suspend them from participating in business.
Okay. Russ, you're recognized?
That was the question I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
Right there, so that's.
All right. Further discussion? Yes, I see. Is that Bill in the back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bill Walser for Leon County. When you voter registers, on the voter registration forms, there's 7 references to becoming an affiliate of the party that they register with, or not being an affiliate if they register as an independent. There's no references to becoming a member of a party. Now, I know you said that a lot of people think just because they're registered as an affiliate with a party that they're a member of the party, but we all know that that's not so. I don't know any parties where, the party is the party, that's the political party. A lot of people don't want to be in a political party. So just because there's a misconception, I don't think making everyone a member solves that. And to remove a member, if registering as a voter makes you a member, how do we remove them? Which goes to the question, what does open mean? So do you still have to take an affirmative action? So if it's open means, okay, you don't have to sign the NAP, I get that part. But then I'm hearing that this will create 24,000 members. So is this, the draft is this amendment saying everyone who's registered is a member, or is open for membership? And then open has some other requirement that does not include the NAP, nor a monetary requirement, which is the
yeah, it's essentially saying that it's open to membership, but it also qualifies those individuals as a member with no further affirmative action taken by them. So essentially, my interpretation of the language is it does both. But if I could just speak to the first part, and that's a question raised, you know, are we making people members without their consent? I think legit, you know, if you look at that logically in a real world example, that someone who goes and fills out a form and actually has to handwrite on the form, they don't check a box, they handwrite Libertarian Party of Florida, then they receive a voter registration card which says LPF on it, and they carry that around in their wallet. I couldn't imagine a scenario where someone would say, well, I am so upset that you made me a member of the party. It just doesn't make sense. So, but the second part of your argument is, you know, is fairly valid that, you know, are they members upon registration? The interpretation is yes.
Can I just follow up on that?
Yes, Bill, and then Russ, I'll recognize you after that.
Real world application, I know many people that registered with the Republican Party solely to vote for Ron Paul in the primary, and have not want to be members of the Republican Party other than that. Thank you.
Okay, understood. Russ?
Russ Wood, Polk County Chairman. When we say they're a member, what does that really mean? We're talking
exactly,
about
I
we're going to
agree.
make them a member, but they're not a member unless they can't vote unless they sign the NAP and can't do anything active in the party. So what does it really mean?
Really, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line, why we went here. It's outreach, folks. And I'll tell you my personal story. I first learned about the Libertarian Party, and Alex, I'll get to you, I just saw your hand, I'll get to you in just a second. I first learned about the Libertarian Party in the early 90s when someone handed me the world's smallest political quiz. I said, wow, I'm a Libertarian. I went down to the supervisor elections office, changed my party affiliation not long after that. And that was probably 93, 94, somewhere in that area. Andre Maru was running, I think, for president at the time. It wasn't until 2000, the year 2000, several years later, that I realized I wasn't a member of the party. I had to reach out to National and say, what do you mean I'm not? I filled out my paperwork. I thought I was a member. No, you're not a member. You have to do all this other stuff. Same thing with the state party. So, and that's the feedback I hear from so many people. So really, this only comes into play. To all the registered voters out there, it's completely meaningless until they make that first effort, until they make that first gesture to say, I want to be more involved. We can just say, great, you're a member. Now, if you'd like to get more involved, just swear that you don't agree in the initiation of force. That's all this is. It's nothing more than that. So floor is open again for discussion. Yes, standing, is that Steve?
You Seminole County.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One of the major
You're my
concerns
periphery.
that I have with automatically defining people as members is the fact that, and it's been brought up before, if we do have an issue, we don't have any mechanism to hold them to the standards of the Libertarian Party. Okay, and this becomes incredibly important for me because I have a primary. Okay, and with a primary, the strategy of that I'm very concerned about is that the opposing party is going to register a bunch of people Libertarian so that they can play in the primary. Now we have people that are being political operatives on purpose that are now members of my party. I
Well,
That's a
you got that one?
situation that's gonna cause issue along the way, and it also opens up for people that don't have the best intentions or libertarian intentions to find their way into the party and make legal argument that they are indeed members because you've given it to them by definition.
Alex, you recognize?
All right, first off, the thing you're talking about, this rule has no change in that whatsoever. If you register in the party, you can vote in the primary. There's nothing we can do about it. So it will not matter, no matter what, for your election. Because membership, unless they sign the NAP, won't do anything for the individual other than do that. But let's remember this, though. Under current structure, in order to be a member of the Libertarian Party of Florida, all you have to do now is go to lpf.org, sign up, and say I oppose, that I support the NAP. But if you're a Republican, you can do it. If you're a Democrat, you can do it. If you don't live in the state of Florida, you can do it. You can do those things now. I can't imagine a political party that the Republicans and Democrats don't let Libertarians be members of their parties. You have to be a registered Republican or a registered Democrat to be a member of their party. All we're doing here is saying only registered Libertarians that live in the state of Florida can be members of the Libertarian Party of Florida, and you can't even get involved in anything within the party unless you sign the NAP first. We just eliminate the first stage of the process. That's all we're doing with this. Again, if you want people to get involved, they got to sign the NAP. You had to sign it today. You'll have to do it all the time. It doesn't change that. But I'll tell you this, though. It does eliminate people that think that they're members of the Libertarian Party of Florida that are registered Republicans and Democrats. They should have to become Libertarians in order to be considered a member of the party.
Yeah, that's an excellent point I overlooked. Yeah, this does require all members of the party to be registered Libertarians in the state of Florida, and I think that is a good move. And hang on just a second, Chuck. I see Ken in the back, I believe there.
Yeah, Adrian, Ken Mendes from Hillsborough County. I like the idea of making this change. We can't stop people from saying Libertarian if they're registered. If you go into a Methodist church, you throw it out, and you still have a Methodist. What the control we still don't have is, like you said, if somebody goes out and robs a bank, they have Libertarian. When you say that person is not allowed to hold any office or be an activist. So you still have the control that anybody who wants to be a Libertarian and participate somehow in a leadership role or somehow help the body and to take that over. You still have that control for those folks. Anybody who wants to register Libertarian, we're not stopping them from registering Libertarian. There are a few folks who want to be active. There are a few folks who don't like the idea of signing an oath, whatever.
Right, right. And just going back to Steve's point, also let's say you're running your race and one of the opposition party brings in a candidate or two to oppose you in the Libertarian primary. We have a mechanism by that as well, which is through the selection committee and the certification process. So if they didn't actually have libertarian principles and all that, they would not be certified as a candidate. So in that scenario, you would be the only candidate that would be certified and supported by the LPF. But legally, there's nothing we can do to prohibit them from running anyway. So, yes, Chuck.
Are there any other states in the Libertarian Party doing this?
I don't know the answer to that. Anyone?
No idea.
Is Carla still in the room?
I would say no. I mean, I'm pretty much.
Yeah, but you don't know either.
Do you know definitively, or do you know absolutely that's the case, or are you just speculating?
Not absolutely, but I called everything the state chair on behalf of the employee support committee last fall, and pretty much discussed what they were doing. I've never heard of any of the states.
Okay, but you don't know for sure. Yeah, Scott? You don't need to stand.
I will. Scott Allen, Chair of Vice Cole County. Like everything in life, very few solutions and answers are 100%. Nothing is perfect. There's good and bad to both sides of this that I see. Generally, I'm opposed to automatically enrolling somebody in our membership just because they change their voter ID. Doesn't that in itself, in a form and fashion, violate the non-aggression principle? Aren't we being aggressive to accomplish a political goal? So I'm opposed on that basis.
Yeah. My personal view on that is that's a real reach to call that a violation of the NAP. But, yeah, go ahead. Yes, standing over there. And Jared, I saw you. I'll get to you next.
One of the problems I had in this is the first thing I went to was to try and find the definition of membership. What does membership entail? There is absolutely no definition of what a member's rights and privileges and responsibilities are. That's the first thing that needs to be done before we talk about something being open to membership. Now, I know you think and have advanced that idea that open to membership means membership. It does not. Words are important, and something is open to something. It just means that you can then proceed to the next step. It's open to membership. And I would like to see both of these things. I mean, it's very nice to encourage people to go and register. We want to encourage them because there's a good purpose for raising money for being recognized. That's the key thing, is that we can be recognized if we get more people to register. But this is not the way to do it. You get people to sign on principle so we're all on the same page, and leave that there and just put and, and or register. But don't take away the
Sally, you do bring up an excellent point. This doesn't force membership on anyone. The actual language says is open to.
That's it.
So this doesn't automatically make you a member upon registration. All it does is makes membership, registration in the Libertarian Party of Florida, it makes it a requirement to be a member. That's the only prerequisite. I want to give a little historical background because to Sally's point, we don't have a good definition of membership currently, and the reason that is in 2011, the state of Florida passed Florida Statute 103.095, establishing the rules for minor parties in Florida. And one of the things that says is that it actually specifies in the law itself that membership shall be open to anyone who is a registered Libertarian voter in Florida. So that part just essentially mirrors the state statute. But it also says we're prohibited from requiring any monetary encumbrance for them to fully participate in the business of the party. That eliminated the dues. Membership in the LPF used to be based on dues. You paid $25 and signed the NAP, you were a member. You paid $100, you were a gold member, so on and so forth, things like that. But now with that change in the law, it kind of put our membership status in a tailspin, and we've been dealing with it ever since. But the line about membership being open to registered libertarians, that's a mirror of Florida Statute 103.095. And yes, I think Jared had a point.
Jared Grafoni, once again, Collier County. Just a few points on this. I've had a lot of time to think about it, and one thing that we really need to take into account here, voters are what makes this party relevant. We are a bunch of people. You get rid of our voter registration, we are nothing. We mean nothing to achieving through the ballot box what we all want to do. We need registered voters to grow. We need registered voters to become a major party. 5% of registered voters in the state of Florida gets us that check box on the voter registration form. Not having the basic LPF, Libertarian Party of Florida, make sure you spell it right. Please do it legibly because your SOE is just going to throw it in the trash if you don't do it otherwise. Those are the barriers to entry that we face as libertarians and in recruiting new people. And I don't know, and I assume a lot of people here have done a lot of recruiting, getting people involved in the party. But for those of you who haven't, if you're trying to convert someone from 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50 years of major party membership, of statist indoctrination, and you say, hey, all I need you to do is go to lp.com, sign up as a national member, sign the pledge, donate $25 because dues are required for national membership. Oh, by the way, go to lpf.org, get on there, sign the same pledge that you already signed at national, and then you can become a member. Doesn't matter if you live in the state of Florida, that's a whole other can of worms. Oh, and by the way, please, I have this other form here from my county affiliate. Please sign the NAP, the non-aggression principle, a third time. so we can make sure that you are actually a member of our affiliate, so you can be part of our affiliate. And then, oh wait, one more thing. We need you to register as a voter, as a Libertarian voter in the state of Florida. You lost that person 5 minutes ago. They walked away, they took your paperwork, and they threw it in the trash, they put it in their car, and it's in the back seat, crumpled up on the floor, covered in dirt. Maybe they send in 1 form, maybe they send in 2, maybe they send in 3, maybe they send in 4. This party has a bureaucracy problem. And we are supposed to be open. We are the open party. We're not the closed party. This just gives us an opportunity to sell party membership a little bit easier. It doesn't change anything. If you want to participate, if you want to be a delegate, if you want to be an elected official within the party structure, you need to sign the NAP. You need to be a registered Libertarian in the state of Florida. Right now, there's no requirement. Adrian, myself, Dana, anyone on the EC does not have to be a registered Libertarian voter in the state of Florida. Does that make sense to anyone?
No, we do, to participate.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, to talk to what Jared's saying, I was one of these people who was a member, became a member of National. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. The bureaucratic problem extends to a communication problem. And if we don't reach out to voters, potential members, within 30 seconds, they've already tuned this out. That 30-second soundbite that everyone's talking about, that's what gets people elected, that's what grows parties, that's what changes policies. And again, on the definition, the open to, it doesn't lock you in to membership. It just, you can renege your membership at any moment. I declare that I am no longer a member in the Libertarian Party of Florida. This is an internal definition. This just helps us say, we've got 30,000 Libertarian members in the state of Florida. Right now, we're 2,500 members in the state of Florida out of millions of people. We have 25,000 voters in the state. Collier County has 25,000 Republicans on one street. We've got 25,000 Libertarians in the whole state. How do we make it easier to grow this party? This is how you do it without violating any of our principles, without sacrificing anything that we believe, what makes us Libertarians. This just makes it easier. And if I was to declare everyone in this room members of the Jared Grathoni fan club, am I aggressing against anybody here? But I consider you members. Nah, we hate you, Jared. It doesn't really matter, right? It's a non-starter. It's irrelevant. It doesn't make any sense. And you look at our membership, 2,500 members. 2,500 members. They don't even live. We don't know how many even live in the state of Florida. I don't have that record. I know it's somewhere. But who knows? You don't have to live in the state of Florida. You go on the LP Solutions page. You need to be a member. We have people from California, from outside the country, Texas. Doesn't matter. If we want to talk about Libertarians in the state of Florida, let's make it about Libertarians in the state of Florida. And this is how we do it. No dues, no other obligations are imposed on anybody. This is an internal definition only that helps us grow the party and make it easier for the people on the ground. Thank you.
As Jared was saying, we know, right now it's backwards, and we need to get registered voters to become a major party. And I was one of those people who became a member on the national page, was confused as to why I wasn't a member of the state. Then I became a member of the state party. I still wasn't registered as a Libertarian voter. I had no incentive to register as a voter because I was a member of the party, and I was finding out what was happening. I didn't register as a voter until I wanted to do business with the party. So it goes the other way.
Greg Bowen from Pinellas County. I actually am one of the people who had the conversation about why we need to make this change, and that's why this amendment was written, but I cannot support it as written, because as written, when requiring voter registration, you are eliminating any felon who cannot register to vote from being able to be a member of our party. And there are far too many felonies out there that we as Libertarians find repulsive. And I cannot exclude someone who was convicted of a felony that I don't agree with from this party. So I do not support this as written.
Kind of funny you outed yourself. I like that. I kept you out of it the whole time until now. So let me address that. I think that the fact that the people that have committed felonies, that's a major problem that we have. That is a huge major problem. But that's not a problem with this. That's a problem with the state of Florida. And it doesn't matter what we do, it matters what they're doing to these people in Florida. And that's why we, you know, as the state party, that there is the restoring of felons' rights that we're trying to help out with. There's organizations that are working to this, and I do firmly believe that we ought to make sure that we can get those rights restored as quickly as humanly possible. So I agree with you on that that's a problem, but you gotta be a registered voter in order to be a member of the party though. Like, you can't vote on anything in here. You just can't do that. We can't open it up like that. You have to be a registered voter that lives in the state of Florida. In order to do anything in here now, that's the way it is though. It's not like I'm making it more restrictive than it was before. That's the rule here today. So, but if you, I know you're standing up because you got something else to say.
Well, let me just speak to that briefly. If you noticed today, everyone in this room who is a delegate had to prove that they're a registered voter in Florida. So it already applies. And I agree wholeheartedly with Greg that it's a shame that upon, you know, paying your debt to society, your rights are not immediately restored. But we can't do anything about that here. Because you are dealing with state laws in certain circumstances, and that is one of them. So, yes, JJ's been holding up his hand.
JJ Jensen, Duval County. Madam Chairperson, I'd like to call the question.
Okay.
A second.
A second to call the question. All in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it, and the question will be called.
Point of information?
Yes, Charlotte.
It's going to take 2/3. So we have
Yes, this takes 2/3 to pass. All the constitutional changes take 2/3 vote. So all in favor of amending Article 2, Section 1 of the LPF Constitution, please say aye.
Aye. Have them stand. You gotta stand up.
We're going to
We gotta
stand.
hold
Yeah, we
All right, please stand.
So, you're not standing, right? You're not standing, right?
I am standing.
You are standing. One, you don't get to vote.
Is everybody standing who wants to stand?
Yeah, make sure if you want to vote for this that you're standing, and if you're not voting for this, then sit down. Except for Scott. Well,
I can move without standing.
All right, so let me start over again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I never this change for like 3 years. That's really got to the floor that I could have argued against
Can we do roll call vote?
Hold on, roll call.
All right, everybody sit down. We'll do roll call. Please sit.
Jared is moved for roll call. Any member can do that. It's a done deal.
Okay, so we're doing a roll call.
He doesn't even need a second. Any member
It's automatic on the roll call.
All right, hold on. Let the secretary get ready because you should have seen this coming, but he didn't. All right. Okay, we're going to be quiet here. I'm going to call your name, and hopefully I won't butcher it. I apologize in advance. When I call your name, I'm going to need a yes or a no, or an abstain, or that's enough. No doesn't count in this one.
This is going to be alphabetical.
Can you do this? Yes. Okay. And so it's Y for yes, N for no, maybe for abstain. And just type it and go down.
Why are you?
Yes. Okay. Scott Allen.
Yes? What?
Oh, no. Make sure you clarify what
When your name is called, say yes or aye if you would like to approve this amendment.
This is for the constitutional amendment itself, the vote
Yes.
for the constitutional amendment.
Yes changes the Constitution. No does not.
No.
Okay, hold on. I'll do this. There we go. Okay. Adele Blackman.
Yes.
Go ahead and click. Yes. Gregory Bowen.
No.
Charles Braden, are you here? Yes. James Burke. Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Felipe Cordet. Carret, sorry. Apologize. Tony Queso, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Philippe, what was your?
No.
Okay. Tony?
Yes.
Okay. Justin Christensen?
Yes.
Brian Cole?
Yes.
William Kopp.
No.
Okay. Robert Costa.
No.
I can kick it. I got it. Okay, Brian Kraft.
I'll yell yes. I'll yell the name.
Okay, you yell the name.
Where you at here?
I'm at Brian Kraft.
Brian Kraft.
Yes.
Dick Creamer.
Yes.
Dana, you can't get the vote. James Cummings. Not in attendance.
Okay.
Christopher Dillard. Not here. Dawn Dorilos.
Yes.
Robert Enright.
Yes.
Yeah, but.
No. Steve Edmonds.
No. Steve Evans, no. Robert Enright was yes.
Stephanie Fabian.
Yes.
Robert Fernandez.
Yes.
Allison Foxall. Allison Foxall. Shane George.
No.
Susan George.
No.
Ed Giglieri.
No.
Suzanne Gilmore.
No.
George
Gorglione.
Gorglione.
No.
Jared Cafoni.
Yes.
Michael Hamlin.
No.
Vincent Hanna.
Yes.
Sally Hayes.
No.
Chuck House.
No.
Lynn House.
No.
Augustus Invictus.
No.
Joseph Jacobs.
Yes.
James Jensen.
No.
Pamela Jensen.
No.
Jared Jones.
Yes.
Patrick Kerr.
Yes.
Vicky Kirkman.
No.
Joshua Kaznicki.
Yes.
Yeah, I really geeked out. Dave Levitt.
Yes.
George Leibowitz. Oh, he's absent. Damn. James Leggett.
Yes.
Sylvia Leggett.
No.
Bert Lithcomb.
Objection. Amanda Clark was skipped.
Kevin was.
Well, we haven't gotten all the names yet, so you don't know if she was skipping.
It's alphabetical
Well,
order.
there's no requirement that we keep it alphabetical.
Okay.
We'll make sure that, we'll make sure nobody's missed.
Yeah, at the end, let us know if you've been skipped.
Bert.
Nay.
Nay. Robert Locke. Robert Locke. George McNaughton.
Yes.
Marcos Marrero.
Yes.
Elsa Martinez.
Yes.
Charles McBrady.
Yes.
Amy Meek.
Yes.
Donald Menzel.
No.
Ken Minton.
Yes.
Marcos Morales.
Yes.
Richard Molnick.
No.
Anna Morris.
Yes.
James Morris.
Yes.
Stephen Nikala.
No.
Carolina Ozenberg.
Yes.
Kevin O'Neill.
Yes.
Ray James. James Ray.
Yes.
Gregory Rowe. Not here. He's not in the room. Ron Rollins.
Yes.
Omar Ruggiero.
No.
Richard Paulus.
Yes.
Elaine Pederick. Elaine's not in here? All right. Bethany Powers.
No.
Sammy Salem.
Yes.
Salem, yeah. Robert Savolia.
Savioli, yes.
Savioli, sorry, my apologies. Matt Schnackenberg.
Yes.
Schnackenberg.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Brian Scott. Brian Scott. Romola Segaria. No. Only people here. Stacy Selleck.
Aye.
That a yes?
Yes.
Anthony Sellers.
No.
Sharon Smith.
No.
Alex Snicker. Yes. Patricia Snicker.
Yes.
Beverly Stephen.
Yes.
Martin Sullivan.
Abstain.
How politician of you. I had to, I'm sorry. Deanna.
Yes.
Thank you for not making me say your last name. Mark Cancer.
No.
John Luke
Teskey. No.
Joe Tay.
Yes.
Kevin Thompson.
Yes.
Crystal Turner.
No.
Christopher Vasquez.
No.
Joanne Vaccarino. Not in the room. Mike Vaccarino. Not in the room either. Edward Wagner.
No.
Larry Wall.
Yes.
Dean Watson.
Yes.
Joseph Wendt.
No.
Ken Willie.
Yes.
Bill Walsifer.
No.
Beatrix Wood.
Yes.
Russ Wood.
Yes.
Matt Worley.
Yes.
Adrian Wiley.
Yes?
Anybody we missed?
Amanda.
Say the name. Say your name.
All right.
You got to give him the whole name. He's got to type it in right now.
I got it, I got it.
You got it?
She said it. Anybody else missed?
Who else got missed?
All
right. Matt Wright?
Matthew Wright.
Matthew Wright.
Okay, you weren't registered early. We can do that now, well, I would put that down provisionally.
Yeah, that has to be a provisional.
I think it's a moot point at this point, considering the yeses and the nos. But
And you said no, sir?
Yes. Correct.
Higgins. You got to give the whole name again.
Great more confusion there.
Gabe Higgins.
Hey, Higgins.
Gabe, G-A-B-E, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were a yes or a no?
Yes.
You're a yes. Anybody else we missed? Anybody else we missed? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, count them up.
We've got 35 no.
So you have more than enough no's already to make sure that it doesn't pass. Is that where you're at?
All right.
Okay, motion fails.
So you want to argue with me?
At this time, I'm going to, you guys, we are going to recess for lunch at this time.
Second.
Let me,
Hold on. You have to take everything with you when you leave, because we need this for Ben Swan. Sorry.
We will be coming back here at 3:30. 3:30, we will return. Please take all your stuff with you.
Executive committee, any.
Yeah, sure.